The price is the least interesting data point of Bitcoin. It tells you just about nothing.
It's 2025 now, and all signs point to the renewed resurgence of Bitcoin. Every investigator is being encouraged to dig in and await the bull run. However, before we all get caught up in the rush, how about we take a step back to look at the bigger picture of Bitcoin's performance in 2024, as predicted by some of the most influential and seasoned investors in the crypto space. The year 2024 was a monumental one for Bitcoin, as the dominant cryptocurrency hit several new valuation highs and sparked a change in market behavior to the point that even more traditional, conservative investors are now leaning towards the asset class. There is no mere coincidence, considering the volatility of Bitcoin has been deemed problematic for many years by traditional investors who prefer stable, long-term growth. Here's what Max Keiser has to say about this.
Decry the volatility is a reason not to own Bitcoin. I haven't really thought about it much. It's particularly if they look at dollar and say, well, there's no volatility in the dollar. And I'm like, that's true, but you have a mathematically guaranteed decrease in purchasing power with the dollar. So, that's part of the game of the dollar, is that it looks stable, but it's leeching value every second of every day from your hard work is being leached away. Bitcoin is the opposite in that you are gaining purchasing power for your hard work every single day. And yes, the price vacillates in fiat money terms is an indication of the weakness of fiat money. It has nothing to do with the weakness or relative strength of Bitcoin. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. Just like 1 ounce of gold equals 1 ounce of gold. Gold is now hitting new all-time highs. It's still 1 ounce of gold. That the amount, the supply, the global supply, which is roughly up maybe 3% a year, it's not dramatically changed from a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but the price is up dramatically. What's that telling us? That's telling us that the fiat money world is losing confidence.
To paraphrase, 1 Bitcoin is still worth 1 Bitcoin today, while the value of the dollar has risen and fallen over the years when adjusted for inflation. So if we view volatility through this lens, isn't the dollar technically the more volatile resource? This is a sentiment that Jeff Booth shares as well when he describes Bitcoin as a better store of value, since when the price falls relative to Bitcoin, you need way less debt to service it. Add to that fact that the Bitcoin is less volatile now, and when compared to fiat and other stores of value like equity, think property value for example, the difference is clear as day that Bitcoin is the better option as an asset and store of value. Volatility aside, what made Bitcoin a much coveted asset in 2024 was no doubt its price. Keiser might believe that the price of Bitcoin is inconsequential compared to other metrics about the cryptocurrency, but for the average investor, valuation makes all the difference. It's why the current dip in price from over 102K to 95K hasn't shaken market sentiments about an imminent bull run. And why should it? Now, before we explore this question further, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to keep up with Bitcoin's rising journey. That said, let's get back to the video.
And I think the answer to that question is Bitcoin scales in myriad ways. To say thousands of ways might be an understatement, maybe tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of ways. There are 8 billion people on the planet, and every single one of them that encounters Bitcoin is going to think about how they wish to interact with Bitcoin, and they've all got a different opinion. The 3-year-old that is interested in Bitcoin will have a different view than a 15-year-old, will have a different view than a 20-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, an 85-year-old in China will have a different view than a 92-year-old person in Russia. And they will have a different view than someone in the United States in their mid-60s. And their views will be different depending upon your religion, whether, what your sect is, what your profession is, what your physical capabilities are.
To understand market sentiments, we first must understand how people view Bitcoin. Saylor explains the subjectivity of Bitcoin, which means that anyone can get in on the action for whatever motivations and still contribute to personal profitability and improvements in market valuation. But beyond that, this subjectivity underscores why Trump's pro-crypto campaign makes sense in the current age and has caused such a stir in the market. Prior to the elections, Bitcoin had already achieved a new historic high of 75K in valuation. However, once it was confirmed that the Orange Man was returning for his second stint in the White House, the price of Bitcoin soared to 100K, which sent the market into a positive frenzy. But the bullish sentiments were far from over. Trump's consideration of a crypto national reserve is a huge change in the government's landscape from the US typical prioritization of oil reserves. Sure, oil isn't going away anytime soon. However, the fact that crypto reserve is deemed practical is a step in the right direction, and has the market even more optimistic about higher valuations for the dominant coin. Saylor even expressed a willingness to advise on such a panel as would be created to oversee the reserve. According to the MicroStrategy co-founder, he'd met with a lot of people in the oncoming administration, and would be open to serving in such a position, in confidence or publicly. Max Keiser, on the other hand, dreams of Bitcoin as more than just a store of value in a national reserve. For him, Bitcoin is the only logical choice for quoting energy and the legal tender for global trade at large. According to Keiser, de-dollarization is here. Countries are pulling out of the dollar, and part of that transition will be to price energy in something other than the dollar. I think the winner will be Bitcoin. Keiser underscores that Bitcoin is energy money and a means for freedom, because it's in geographical barriers without losing its fundamental value. A Bitcoin today is going to be the same in 5 years. These are qualities that you can't expect from state-run monies like the US dollar. Michael Saylor definitely believes in these qualities, as he and his company are arguably the best Bitcoin investors in 2024. But for him, there are even more grounds for Bitcoin to conquer, like ETFs. For 6 weeks leading up to the final week in December of 2024, MicroStrategy continues to purchase Bitcoin, taking its total holdings to around $45 billion. As mind-boggling as that sounds, that figure is about to be dwarfed by the fact that MicroStrategy joined the NASDAQ 100 on December 23, 2024. Saylor's involvement in this index now means that legacy investors will ultimately invest in Bitcoin through ETFs that track the index. That means even more involvement in the market, a trend that many expect to continue well into 2025. So, what do you think? Let us know in the comments section. Also, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Finally, don't hesitate to leave your views in the comments.